Hi everyone, my name is Kaylie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi everybody, I just wanted to pop in real quick and give a big shout out to Care Of. If you don't remember, I had spoke about them in a few videos ago. And for those of you who don't know what Care Of is, it is a subscription service that ships high quality personalized vitamins, supplements, powders, anything you can think of right to your door every month. I'm going to leave the quiz linked down below in the description, so that way you guys can take the Care Of quiz and see what vitamins or supplements that they recommend for you. Also, if you guys use my code, you can get 50% off of your first order. Okay everybody, if I look rough right now, it's because I had a rough night, okay? Rolling Loud is this weekend and I have tickets to go all weekend, but I didn't make it there yesterday because of this.
Come on! Smile pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a good look. I literally died. But enough of that. I'm going to bring you guys up close. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do my quick usual little rundown for those of you who may be new here. For most of the video, I will be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I'm doing. I do tell these story times in a first person point of view, so if you don't like that, then you can leave.
You can pack your things and leave. There's the door. There's the door, bitch!
And these story times are sent in by anonymous people. That was a lot. Okay, so story time about how one of my mom's sugar daddies ruined my Christmas. Yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. So a little background information. I was 13 and in 7th grade, and I'm not even gonna beat around the bush with this one. My mom's a stripper. Okay, she's been one for as long as I can remember, and she's also been doing OnlyFans for the past few years, which is low-key how we got into this whole mess in the first place. Not the OnlyFans part, just like her being a sex worker in general. Now, as my grandma would explain it, my mom was one of those teenagers that just didn't like the rules that she had to follow at home, which is understandable because my grandparents are very old-fashioned. Not even that really, they're just plain strict. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, my mom was not allowed to have a door on her room because they believe that children don't need privacy, and yeah, just weird shit like that, which is also still something that they argue about till this day, because my brother and I, we have our own rooms, okay, with doors, and even worse, the doors lock. Yep, it's fucking awful. So yeah, anytime my grandma or grandpa will come over, they just start the whole, they're still kids, they don't need their own rooms, let alone doors that lock. Like, grandma, shut the fuck up and go tell this to your therapist, okay? Oh wait, that's another thing I forgot. You couldn't be depressed or have any type of mental illness because it doesn't exist. It's all fake. It's just an illusion. Okay? As long as you go to church and pray, your mind will be free of all mental illness.
Oh my god! Wow!
Yep, that's apparently how it works. So yeah, as you can tell, growing up for my mom was like a walk in the park. Just kidding, obviously. It's more like a walk through hell. Anyway, so like I was saying before, my grandparents pretty much just said that my mom was a troubled child who wanted attention growing up. So my mom decided to rebel and run away from home with a bunch of hippies, which is literally the exact opposite. Like, these were not hippies that she ran away with. No. My mom was one of those girls who ran away, and some guy saw her kind of living homeless on the side of the street, and he offered her a job, saying that she was gonna make great money, and he would only take a small percentage of it. Not only this, but she was gonna live in this really nice place with a bunch of girls that were also her age. How exciting, right? Like, oh my god, that like sounds literally like a dream. No. It's not, okay? You wanna know what? He's a fucking pimp. He literally was a pimp. Yeah. So my mom didn't know this at the time, of course. And even if she did, I don't know if she would have said no. I'm pretty sure she still would have did it just because she needed the money. So yeah, my mom ended up being we're just gonna call her an escort, okay? Because I don't think that YouTube would appreciate me using the P word. We're not gonna do that, even though I literally swear in every single one of my videos. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, my mom, she becomes an escort, okay? Until her pimp and his wife went to jail because all of their girls were literally 16 years old. Like, they were teenagers. So they went to jail for a very, very long time. They're both registered on a sex offenders list, and also they'll probably be in jail until they die, because I guess that they also unalived a few of their girls, you know, because some of them would threaten to leave and tell on them. Yeah, not nice. Anyways, most of those girls that my mom lived with are either dead from drug use or incarcerated. Pretty sad. But yeah, so my mom's a stripper. Back on track now, and she has 3 men. She did have 4, but she has 3 now. And when I say men, I really just mean like sugar daddies, you know, like guys that she would sleep with to pay for her stuff, you know. And we're just gonna call them guy number 1, guy number 2, and guy number 3. Like I said, she did have 4, but number 4 turned out to be a freaking weirdo, literally. Like weirdo slash stalker, okay? And surprisingly, my mom had quite a few of those. There was the one who would follow her home from work and occasionally leave really weird gifts at our apartment's front desk. And my mom had had this happen before, like once. So our concierge would open any packages that my mom got to make sure that like it wasn't like, I don't know, some weird shit, you know? Well, one of the gifts was a Barbie doll that looked exactly like her. Pretty fucking creepy, you know? And then there was one that literally had a sandwich bag with a singular chip, a fucking Dorito. And in the bag there was a note that said, "This made me think about you. Do you ever think about me?"
Side eye. Side eye.
How about I think of a fucking restraining order? The fuck? No. Yeah, that guy was really weird. My mom did end up getting a restraining order against him because he also did some other weird ass shit. He was literally a fucking creep. Have you guys ever had a stalker? Like, I feel like it's become like so common nowadays. Like, people are just fucking weirdos. Anyways, yeah, but after that, I don't know whatever happened to that guy, but about a year after that whole situation, my mom decided that it would be best for us to move. So we ended up moving an hour away to this quiet little neighborhood. It was really nice. The community was all super close. But once again, there was another stalker waiting for us. Of course. Can't ever have anything nice. This one actually happened to be a woman who ended up being like in love with my mom. She would literally sit outside of our house on the nights that my mom wasn't working, and she would be there for like a good 5 hours. She would just sit in her car, read a book, occasionally walk around our house and look through our windows, you know, nothing too weird, of course. This went on for literally 2 months straight before my mom was like low-key forced to call the cops. And the reason why I say forced is because my mom felt bad for this woman, because from what she told my mom, her kids were taken from her because of her drug use and they were in the system. She doesn't know how to get them back. Pretty sad. Now, obviously, my mom being in the situation that she was whenever she was a teenager, you know, being around all of those women and stuff like that who had problems with drug use, this low-key pulled on her heartstrings a little bit. So she never really wanted to call the police on her. Until the one night my mom went to go to work and she gets in the car thinking nothing of it. And as she's driving to the club, this woman literally pops out of the back seat, like low-key serial killer vibes. And yeah, she just starts professing her love to my mom. Yeah, it wasn't good. Not at all. Well, it turns out that this woman actually didn't have any kids at all, and she did have a really bad drug problem. But yeah, the whole story about her kids was made up. And apparently my mom isn't the first person that she's done this to. To be honest, my mom should have low-key known that this girl was a weirdo whenever she kept reading the same book over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know why that makes her a weirdo in my book, but it does. Anyway, so there were others that, you know, I wouldn't really call stalkers. They were just plain weird. She won't tell us about those ones though because of how weird they were, but yeah, you guys get the point. You get the point. And if you don't, I don't know. So back to what I was saying before, I'm gonna give you the rundown of these 3 guys, okay? Now we're gonna go in order of importance, meaning like who my mom actually like needed in her life. Not really even needed, like who she gave a shit about and who she didn't. So guy number 1 is the guy that my mom is in love with, the guy that she really wants to be with, but he has a wife and kids, which he would never leave for my mom. But of course, like any man, he does and says whatever to get whatever the fuck he wants. Like, he's always telling my mom that he's going to leave his family when the time is right. But I'm pretty sure that if the past 3 years haven't been the right time, I don't think you're ever gonna leave her. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Now, is it important for my mom to have this man in her life? No. It's really not, okay? Because he's low-key the least giving out of all 3 of her guys. Like, he pays my mom very little money to sleep with him, and that's literally all. But she always tells my brother and I that they're gonna end up together. They're gonna end up together. She swears by it. But you know, denial's the river in Egypt. I mean, my mom's a little delulu, but it's okay because, like, low-key we all are. By the way, these marks on my arm, don't mind that. Yesterday when I was, like, dying, I crawled out the car and put my hands in grass so that way I could, you know, vomit. And I'm pretty sure that something bit the shit out of me. Literally. Anyways, back to the story. Now on to guy number 2. My brother and I's favorite. He's a really good person. We really like him. He's always taking care of us really well. Pretty much because his wife died and his kids are all grown. He doesn't have any grandkids either. So he really just has like a bunch of money to spend on whatever the fuck. Like me, my brother, and my mom. So yeah, he's always taking us to go do stuff like go to the zoo and go out to eat. And no, it's not one of those things where all my mom has to do is spend time with him and he'll just buy her whatever she wants. No, she still sleeps with him. Cause yeah, which is a little weird considering this guy's pushing like 70 years old. But you know what? I don't know. So now on to guy number 3. This is the man that is in love with my mother, but she only wants him for his money. Obviously, I mean, I really don't think that my mom would be sleeping with a 70-year-old man if she wasn't interested in anything but the money, you know? No offense to that guy, but anyways, my mom always talks about cutting guy number 3 off. And yes, my mom does talk to my brother and I about this stuff. There is no shame in her game. Anyway, so yeah, she always talks about wanting to cut this guy off, but he's the one who's like low-key the most giving, you know? Like, he provides the most. He pays her car payment, he pays her mortgage, he pays for my brother and I's school, and he buys her whatever the fuck she wants. Like, he even pays for her plastic surgery. Like, she got her boobs done, she got a BBL. Which I'm not saying this just because she's my mom. She didn't need it. But like, I mean, hey, if you're having somebody else pay for it, then who gives a fuck? So, yeah, this guy hasn't been around too long. Anyway, so now that you guys know the run-up, you know, the lineup, the roster, we can finally get to how one of these jackasses ruined Christmas for my brother and I. So, as I had said before, guy number 2 really likes spending time with my mom, my brother, and I. So he planned a vacation for all of us. It was like a 3-day vacation to Disney. And we had been on vacation with him before, so it wasn't weird or anything like that. But on the 2nd day of our vacation, we were sitting at breakfast and we're all eating, laughing, having a good time when all of a sudden he literally falls over and dies. Like, literally just fell over. Yeah. And died. Rest in peace. Yeah, I mean, none of us were surprised really because he did have a lot of bad health problems. Like, he smoked a lot. He still drank. Like, he was living his life like he was 20 years old. So yeah, you know, we went to the funeral and I don't know if I said this earlier, but his kids hated us. They really hated my mom, my brother, and I. Mainly because my mom was so young and they low-key knew that she was just not really taking advantage of him. She was just using him for his money. The one time we were over his house having dinner and like 2 kids walked in and literally were like confronting us, yelling at us right in front of everybody because we were also having like dinner with a few of his other friends. But yeah, he came to my mom's defense and he was like, get the fuck out of my house. Like, she makes me happy. He was like, you don't know what you guys are talking about. And yeah, so he pretty much told them to fuck off and get the fuck out of his house. Anyway, so yeah, we went to his funeral and he left my mom a good amount of money, to be honest, which I didn't even know about this, but him and my mom got married. So maybe number 2 deserves more than just a number. We'll call him Fred. Yeah, Fred and my mom, we're married. He left her a good amount of money, but my mom knows that money goes fast, so she still needed to come up with a plan to replace Fred. So then my mom starts paying more attention to guy number 3, which was a bad idea, okay? But yeah, she's doing that while still trying to get guy number 1 to fall in love with her. And so what does she do? She starts paying more attention to guy number 3 while still trying to get guy number 1 to fall in love with her. Anyway, so she introduces guy number 3 to us, and immediately we just felt like something was off with him, like right off the bat. Like he seemed like he had a couple of screws loose. Actually, not a couple, like a lot. And even weirder, whenever he first met my mom, he told my mom that she was spending way too much time with my brother and I. Literally, he was like, yeah, you're not spending enough time with me, you're spending too much time with your kids, da 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 da. And like, it even got to a point where, listen to me guys, if I touch my face and get black shit on my face, I'm going to like have a mental breakdown, because this is my makeup for Rolling Loud and I'm not about to redo it. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So yeah, he even like started begging my mom to quit her job, and which sure, my mom dated and slept with these men for their money, but at the same time, my mom never once wanted to quit her job. She could have quit her job after marrying Fred. She knew that was an option, but she also knew that she still wanted to have her own life. Like, she was not about to let no freaking man think that they had any control over her whatsoever. But she always had to keep up with the act that she was spending so much time with her kids and she was busy with work, because he never knew that she was seeing other guys. And I'm pretty sure that if he would have found out, well, actually he did. Yeah. Anyways, he just thought my mom was this sweet, innocent angel. An angel? Sure. Innocent? That's debatable. I mean, there was like the one time where he became a little bit psycho. So a few months before Fred passed away is whenever my mom introduced us to guy number 3, and number 3 had to come over to our house a few times around Christmas, so that way they could get like the bills and everything set up or whatever that he was paying for her. I don't know, but we were all spending time together after they would do that. You know, we would sit by the Christmas tree, play Monopoly, you know, like play different board games. And I don't know about anybody else, but sometimes around Christmas time, people will put out presents early to kind of give more of a feel for Christmas, and my mom was one of those people. So Fred had bought us some Christmas presents, okay? They were under the Christmas tree and they were labeled from Fred. Well, my mom, my brother, guy number 3 and I were all sitting next to the Christmas tree playing Monopoly, and whenever for some reason guy number 2, okay, I'm sorry, but guy number 2 is literally such a long name, we're just gonna call him Chad. I feel like that's like such a piece of shit guy name. No offense to anybody who's named Chad. It's just a stereotype around the name that's like, you know, frat boys who are douchebags are named Chad. But then again, he was like a little bit older, so we're just gonna call him Harold. We're gonna call this guy Harold. Anyway, so Harold decides that he's gonna grab one of the presents from under the tree, like freaking snooping around. I mean, he wasn't really snooping. He literally just grabbed one and he was like, oh, looks like Santa came early this year. And then he looked at the present, he saw whose name, and he was like, never mind, it looks like Fred came early this year. And he just like looked at my mom like, bitch, I'm about to kill you.
Run, bitch! Run!
Literally. Like, sir, mind your own fucking business, okay? Like, go get a wife, go have some kids. Be more like guy number 1 who has a wife and kids and like a life of his own. Actually, don't be more like guy number 1, because guy number 1's a piece of shit. Speaking of guy number 1, right after Fred died, it's like everything just like went downhill from there for my mom, because number 1 asked my mom to meet up the one night and he paid her and everything, and then after he was like, this is gonna be my last time seeing you.
Yeah, double homicide.
Bitch.
I've decided that I want to change and be a better man for my family, and I don't ever want to see you again. Even though this man literally fed my mom spoonfuls of bullshit just like this.
Move with me, marry me.
Yeah, but it's not new. We know that guys do this. Like, we're not surprised, right? We're not. And if you are, you must be living under a rock. Yep. So yeah, that pretty much sums up that whole situation. So now we're just left with Harold. Yep. Just left with him. So Harold, after that, like low-key had suspicions that my mom was seeing other men, which of course, one died, one dumped her. So now she was definitely looking for other men, because ain't nobody want to be with Harold. Nope. No one. Yeah, but after this, Harold became super controlling, and he would literally go to my mom's work with her every night to watch her, which is literally what everybody else was doing there as well. But he was like low-key just hurting his own feelings, because like any other person that is interested in somebody, we don't like to see the person that we like giving attention to other people that are interested in them. Make sense? It should. Now, after he started following her around and doing all the creepy, weird shit that he was doing, he even started coming home with her after work. Yeah. It was weird as fuck. I can literally not do my eyeliner on camera for the life of me. Anyways, okay. Let's get back into it. So our neighbor, who we're gonna call Jessie, she was like 17, and she would babysit my brother and I. And of course, you know, she would go home after Harold and my mom got to the house. And as soon as she left, Harold was back on his bullshit again. And this was literally every single fucking night. Back on his bullshit, meaning like, oh, I want you to quit your job. I want to start a family with you. Like, God, why couldn't you have taken Harold? I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Like, I want Fred back. I will literally make a trade. We want Fred back. That's who we want. That's too damn bad! Anyways, I don't think I said it earlier, but my mom had my brother and I with 2 different men, and neither of them stuck around. Well, Mr. Harold has the fucking audacity to ask my mom why my brother and I's dad doesn't come around so they can have some alone time.
Turn your big ass around and get the fuck back to your fucking seat. The fuck is wrong with your ashy ass?
Like, sir, they went to go get milk and never came back. Be fucking respectful, please. And thank you. Anyway, so yeah, there was a lot of arguing and bullshit going on around that time. But in the mix of this, like I said, my mom was trying to find different men. And she actually did end up finding one. And we're gonna call this guy Henry. Now, Henry, my mom actually liked. It was like the guy number 1 situation, but instead of this one being married with children and not liking my mom back, he was actually very, 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 very single. And he was kind of in love with my mom, which period, we love that for her, you know. He also had a shit ton of money. So as you can guess, my mom stopped spending as much time with Harold, and she started paying way more attention to Henry. Obviously, this was an issue. So Harold started making himself more needed, I would say, as in a way, like, he told my mom that if he doesn't see her this many times a week, that he wasn't going to pay for her mortgage anymore, and if he didn't sleep with her this many times a week, this was gonna happen, that was gonna happen, da 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 da. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. But you know what? Okay, I understand, right? It was part of the agreement, you know, like the unspoken rules. My mom slept with people who provided her a lifestyle that she wanted to live. But at the same time, if you're a guy trying to get a woman to like you, let alone fall in love with you, probably not a good idea to threaten her and be controlling. You know? Like, you gotta realize when a woman doesn't want you, and you gotta move on, or else you are chasing a ghost. Because she is just gonna pull further away from you, especially whenever you're trying to be controlling and she doesn't even fucking like you. Like, that's not the way to do it, babe. It's not. Anyway, so now my mom had to stop hanging around Henry as much, because Henry and my mom had the same relationship, kind of, as she did with all of the other guys. AKA, they would pay for her shit and she would provide acts of service for them. AKA, she would sleep with them. Yeah, so she literally had to stop hanging out with Henry as much because Harold was providing way more than Henry could have. So, you know, fast forward the one night, Henry's over at our house and we're all in the living room watching a movie, whenever all of a sudden there's a knock at the door. Which, I don't know why the fuck my mom thought this was a good idea, because she knew, we all knew, Harold had a habit of coming over whenever the fuck he wanted, especially late at night. Actually, scratch that, just whenever the fuck he wanted to. So I don't know why she thought that having Henry at our house was a good idea.
Dumbass bitch.
So anyways, like I said, speak of the devil. Obviously, it was Harold. Obviously. And it was like he knew that my mom had somebody over, because instead of using the key that he has, he knocked on the door first. And then of course he unlocks the door with the key that he stole from under the plant on our porch. Yep. So, you know, the door opens into the living room, and my mom, Henry, my brother, and I were all sitting on the one side of the sectional couch, cuddling. Like, my brother and I, we were laying pretty much on top of them. They were cuddling. So it was pretty awkward when he walked in. Literally, like, he just sat there and stared at us. Like, Harold literally just opened the door and stood there and stared at us. And Henry, oh my god, I love Henry. I love Henry so much. He's so innocent and stupid. He literally gets up and goes to shake his hand, and he's like, hey man, my name is Henry. And as he reached his hand out, Harold just punched him in the face. Yep. Harold was not having that shit today. Nope. But after he punched him in the face, that's whenever Harold went after my mom. Yeah, like he literally went after my mother. Like, I don't know what the fuck he thought he was gonna do to her, but like, sir, you gotta calm the fuck down. Nope. But yeah, so in the process of him trying to physically hurt my mother, he pushes my brother out of the way, and my brother ends up smacking his head off the side of the glass table, like the corner. So there is a gash in my brother's head. Like, he is literally bleeding all over the place and crying and screaming, and that's whenever Henry pulls out a gun. He pulls out a gun. And he put it to the back of Harold's head, and he was like, if you don't get the fuck out of this house now, I'm gonna unalive you. Now, obviously, everyone's crying. My brother's crying, I'm crying, my mom's crying. Yeah, Harold ended up leaving after that. Thank God. And then Henry pretty much told my mom, he was like, listen, if you're not gonna call the police about this shit, then you guys are gonna come and stay at my house because I need to make sure you guys are safe. So anyways, we take my brother to the hospital. He ended up needing stitches. Harold texts my mom saying he's sorry and he misses her so much. And he understands that he screwed up. He'll pay for my brother's hospital bill. He'll never do that ever again. Like, what makes you think that you can physically hurt somebody's children and they're just gonna let you back into their lives? Like, nothing ever happened. I mean, actually, in a lot of cases, this does happen. But at the same time, like, one thing my mom does not play about is my brother and I. Like, if you ever do anything to my brother or I, you're dead to my mom. So that probably all happened around Thanksgiving. We're gonna fast forward to Christmas. Well, Christmas Eve, I guess. My mom and Henry, they are now in a relationship. And during this time, Henry actually moved into our house because he lived in like a condo by himself, and him and my mom were super serious about like getting married and shit, and they were gonna sell my mom's house soon, and we were all gonna go live somewhere else, I guess. Like, she even stopped doing OnlyFans for Henry. Like, now she was a full-time stay-at-home mom, which worried Henry a lot because of the whole Harold situation that happened. Because throughout the past month, I guess, we've been having some issues still with him. Like him showing up to the house constantly, showing up to my mom's work, and asking everybody if they knew where she was. Like, he was even leaving my mom voicemails off of different like burner phones and shit like that, being like, how come you didn't love me like you love him? I would have given you and your kids everything. You're gonna regret leaving me. Just like some real psycho shit. Like, Harold, honey, you need to get a life, because this is fucking ridiculous. So yeah, like I said, Christmas Eve rolls around, and we had just made cookies to leave out for Santa, and we were watching a Christmas movie. Well, then there's a knock on the door right as my brother and I were about to go upstairs and go to sleep. And Henry obviously opens the door because he just didn't trust really anything. Like, he was more on edge than my mom was, because duh, there's a fucking weirdo stalking my mother. Anyway, so like I said, nobody's there, and so he closes the door, and all of a sudden we get another knock at the door, probably like 10 minutes later. So then he goes and he grabs his gun, and he's like, you guys stay here, go upstairs, I'm gonna go look around the house. So we all go upstairs, and we're pretty much like watching from the window, when all of a sudden my mom starts freaking out because she, guess whose car she sees parked down the street? Yeah, Harold. So she runs downstairs, she's screaming, yelling, telling Henry to get in the house, calling the cops, doing like 40 different million fucking things at once. And my brother and I, we're still watching from upstairs. Well, literally in like the blink of an eye, all of a sudden Harold's car turns on, and all we hear are a bunch of gunshots. And Henry and my mom run back inside. Thankfully nobody was hurt, but Harold's car drove past again. Not even just again, it literally drove past us like 3 or 4 times. And he, like, every time he was just like shooting up our house. The police finally showed up like 10 minutes later. Fucking useless. Anyways, so yeah, they show up. Harold really doesn't give a flying fuck who's there. Like, he knew he was gonna go to jail, so he pretty much just said, fuck it, might as well make it a longer stay, because he literally just like gets into a shootout with the police. Yep, Harold's a genius. Which is obviously not good, but like at the same time, low-key happy, because now he'll finally leave us the fuck alone. But yeah, we didn't even notice that there were like 2 other people in the car as well shooting in our house. Anyway, so he went to jail for a very long time. Christmas was pretty much canceled because our house was fucking destroyed. Oh, and if you're curious, Henry and my mom ended up breaking up probably like 2 months after this whole thing happened, because my mom had definitely lied to him about her life choices before they met and how involved she actually was with Harold. Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's story time. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of me, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to know how to send in your anonymous story time, or you want to send in your anonymous story time, make sure to click the links down below in the description. But other than that, I will see you guys next week with a new story time.